The following content will contain disturbing and sometimes graphic images and major and minor spoilers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, mystery crew, and welcome to Bloody Red Table Talk. I am your host, Terrell, and joining me today is my co-host, Broadus.
Do you bleed?
And our very special guest of this week's episode is Tristan.
Hello. Hi.
We want to also, my bad. We want to also welcome Tristan to the Mystery Brothers Incorporated family as our new production co-manager. So, round of applause for that. Woo!
Yay.
All right, everybody. So today we will be discussing the highly anticipated 2022 adaptation of Scream 5. Now, for those of you who do not know, Scream 5 is the newest installment to the 1996 Wes Craven horror flick, Scream. It takes place 25 years after the original killings in Woodsboro, and there is a new killer in town. Just like in the other films before this one, Scream 5 follows the lives of a group of teenagers who are being terrorized by the town's mass killer. Throughout the film, we are shown a lot of new characters trying to deal with the killer issue at hand, while also we get to see a lot of familiar faces returning. It's up to the teenagers to survive and uncover the secret killer that is hidden behind the iconic Ghostface mask. But before we dive into the discussion, we're gonna get started with today's icebreaker question. All right, y'all ready for the icebreaker question? We good?
Let's
We ready?
do it. Let's get it.
Yes.
All right.
What's
Let's go.
today's
So
question?
today's icebreaker question is
What's your
Broadus.
favorite scary movie?
But before we answer this icebreaker question, we would love it if you all will participate with us in this week's icebreaker by going on Twitter and tweeting hashtag Bloody Red Table Talk along with your answer to this question. All right, so we're gonna start this question off with you, Broadus. What's your favorite scary movie?
My favorite scary movie, as mentioned before, is Friday the 13th, the original.
Okay,
The
okay. You
reason
wanna
being,
explain?
the reason being is because it set the way for supernatural slashers. A lot of movies have that supernatural element where the killer is now larger than life, so to speak. Um, Originally, Jason was dead, but then he came up out the water at the end and snatched that girl into the water and killed her. I think that that's where the iconic slasher genre took a turn to me.
So do you think or is it more so based on like the entrance of Jason and the character Jason, or is it kind of a combination of Jason and his mom and kind of,
I
or just
think it's a
everything?
I think it's a combination of both because I think up until that point there wasn't a woman slasher. You know, the mom was going around killing people, but I think because they knew they had to kill the mom off, they was like, "Damn, we need something different.
Right.
Let's bring
Um.
back that son." And
Right.
then it went
Right.
from there.
And it was very unexpected twist. Like if you've seen
Definitely.
Friday the 13th, you definitely know when you first saw it, you was like, "Oh shit, it is the mom." Like you pieced everything together. So what about you, Tristan? What is your favorite scary movie?
Okay, so I have two actually, or maybe three, we'll see. The first one is a psychological thriller. It's called When a Stranger Calls. That's my favorite. That's like my top number one. And then the second one is Jeepers Creepers 2.
All right, so tell us a little bit about When the Strangers Call. I think, well, at least I can speak in experience. I think me and Broadus know a little bit more about Jeepers Creepers too. Because if you haven't
Mhm.
seen that, it's definitely recommended.
You should go see that.
You should go see it. But tell us a little more about When the Stranger Calls.
When a Stranger Calls came out in 2005, if I'm not mistaken. And there's this serial killer, and he's killing babysitters.
Oh,
So there's this one girl, and she's babysitting, and she's in this big house, and she's by herself because the kids are asleep. And this guy keeps calling. He knows her by name. He knows the kids by name, and he's asking her all these questions that you would only know if you were like in the house. And then she calls the police, and then they're like, "Oh, these calls are coming from inside the house. You should probably get it moving. Get out
you
of the
need to leave.
house. You need
Get
to
the
get
fuck
out."
out.
Yes, stating that they in the house with you, baby. You need to go. I would say for me to answer this question, I have two. Halloween is definitely one. I said this before on the podcast. Listen, Michael Myers is just incredible. Laurie is incredible. Jamie Lee Curtis as this bravo, the performance, everything. I think what I really enjoyed the most about it is that it was so low budget, and they made something that was like so low budget and not really a lot of money into something like spectacular. you would never know. Bless you. You would
Bless
never
you.
know.
Thank you.
You would never know. Like there was actually like a movie that was like actually struggling with funds if you actually watch it for the first time. And another one I would have to say has been sneaking up on my list, and I gotta blame Broadus for this one. Is in fact it.
Time to float.
Listen, listen. A few years ago, I was like,
I do
Pennywise.
not
I'm
fuck
not
with
really.
clowns.
I'm not. No, not that because I was never afraid of clowns. This was
No.
like Pennywise. I'm not really scared of him. Whatever. I'm not scared of him, but I have a lot of respect for like the actors who portray Pennywise, the character itself. Every child character. Just Stephen King in that book. It's a little bit of loose ends in there, but it's still a fantastic book and movie series and everything put together quite well. But yeah, that's definitely my
Look,
favorite.
I'm excited to talk about Scream 5,
Mhm.
but we just spilled out our favorites. How about this? From here, we should take a little ad break
All
because
right,
I think that this is something that we should do every now and again. So
all right.
we
We'll
should
be
give the
right
people a
back.
break as well. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi there. Do you like podcasts? Do you like talking to people and just hanging out? Well, Let's Talk About It is the podcast for you. Come tune in every other Monday wherever you listen to your podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Apple, wherever you want, and listen to me, Tristan, and my best friend Xavier talk about whatever we want for that week. Hope you enjoy it as much as we do. Thanks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bloody Red Table Talk. Today's topic is Scream 5, as y'all already know. So without further ado, let's jump into discussing this film.
Yes, all right. So in the opening scene of Scream 5, we are introduced to Tara Carpenter, who is played by Jenna Ortega. Now in this
Fine as hell.
scene, yeah, Broadus apparently likes
She's
Jenna
fine as
Ortega.
hell.
In this scene, Tara is home alone one night and answers the phone to an unbeknown to her Ghostface. Now, just like in the original film, Tara and the killer have a phone conversation, which ultimately results in a showdown between Tara and the killer as the killer tries to murder her. Now we're just going to talk briefly about this opening scene because Scream and the whole idea of Scream, a lot of things that are memorable from Scream is the opening scene. So what did you
Mhm.
all think of this opening scene? I'll start it off with Broadus.
To me, the opening was very well done. It was a pretty good way to reintroduce those elements of what made Scream popular and to reintroduce us to the character Ghostface.
Mm-hmm.
I when you're watching a movie, I don't think me and you get scared from movies. I don't know about Tristan, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think
I
that we
don't.
get scared. Yeah, we don't get scared from movies, but what made me feel like like attached to this opening scene is that I put myself in that position. That it was psychological as well as, the physical presence of Ghostface being there that I think really worked well. Um and like I said, it reintroduced us to Ghostface after we haven't seen him in what, maybe the MTV series, but that wasn't even the
Yeah.
Yeah, I
original
think that was
Ghostface mask.
yeah, because I'm not really sure. Scream is like one of those movies that it has so many different like alternate universes. I'm not
Right.
sure if this TV series I think it came out maybe like 2015 ties in with this universe of the new
I
Scream
don't think so.
5. But yeah, Tristan, what did you think about the opening scene from this new Scream?
I thought the opening scene was pretty cool. I like
Mhm.
how they modernized everything. So she's talking to the killer, she's texting someone, she's
Right.
texting the killer at one point, and then there's like the fight over the locks
Mhm.
Hmm.
so he
Yeah.
can't get in and everything. I thought that was pretty cool too. I
Um.
liked it. It was a really good way to reintroduce us to like the concept.
Mhm.
Not even just Ghostface, just like the concept of what Scream is at its core, which is just like a semi cheesy horror movie. And it's
Mhm.
really good, and that's what the strengths are, it's how it plays out.
Yeah, I can agree. I loved it. I think Jenna did a phenomenal job. I think the back and forth conversation with Jenna and the Scream Killer was just incredible. I felt like it was very natural. It
Yeah.
didn't seem forced. I
Definitely.
feel like that was my problem with a lot of the previous Scream movies. Aside from the original, I feel like a lot of moments were trying to be forced in a way to try to recreate somewhat something a similar feeling from the first Scream, but also not having its own edge. And I really enjoyed the fact that I really enjoyed Jenna's performance and the overall just dialogue between Jenna and the killer. I think there was also a lot of little small references people didn't realize that referred back to the first movie with Casey and the killer, like Jenna and the little knife, like her playing with the knife. It was very
Yeah.
small things added to it, which I really enjoyed in terms of this new film. All right, now, after the opening scene, we find out that Tara actually survived. I've been calling her Jenna, by the way. Jenna's her real name, but Tara's the character name. So I'm talking about the
Jenna.
character again. Tara actually survived the Ghostface attacks and is now in the hospital recovering. Now, this is also important to note because she is the first survivor from an opening scene in the whole like Scream
Mm-hmm.
franchise. Usually, like
Yeah.
the first victim, you did, you know, but she's
Right.
not dead. She survived. Now, during this point in the film, we are also introduced to another series, multiple series of characters, including Tara's older sister and Billy Loomis's daughter, Sam Carpenter, who is played by Melissa Barrera. I am so sorry if I'm butchering these names, by the way, y'all.
I am in
Oh,
love
right.
with Melissa Barrera, by the way.
And she fine as hell too.
Yeah.
I am in love with
No,
her.
this whole podcast can not be about how y'all fall in love with these women, all right? Women, I get it, but like y'all. No, all right. But Sam, who moved away from home years ago, rushes back to Woodsboro to check in on her younger sister at the hospital. During this period, we are also introduced to other characters, including Sam's boyfriend, Richie Kirks, who was played by Jack Quad, Liv McKenzie, who was played by Sonia Amar. I'm sorry again if I'm butchering these names, y'all. Amber Freeman, who was played by Mikey Madison, Wes Hicks, the son of Judy Hicks, who was played by Dylan Minette, and the twins Mindy and Chad Meeks, who are the niece and nephew of Randy Meeks, who are played by Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooden. Now, with all these new characters being introduced to us, what are we thinking about these characters so far? Like, what characters are sticking out to you immediately when you're seeing them on the screen? I'll start off with Broadus.
Okay, so I think Wes stuck out the most to me because I'm familiar with the actor. I've seen him in quite a few projects.
I think I've seen him in
13
He's in
Reasons.
13 Reasons.
yeah,
He was in Don't Breathe.
it was like a Netflix movie with like the house on the hill or something. Was it something like that? It was something I can't remember exactly.
He's
Yeah, he
in
was.
a lot of like these
Haunted.
horror-ish,
Yeah,
haunted house type movies.
yeah.
Exactly.
Go
So
ahead,
I'm familiar with the actor. So when I saw him, mind you, I didn't see any of the Scream trailers. I just like, oh, they made a new Scream movie. I'll watch it eventually.
Mhm.
When I saw Wes, I was like, oh, he's in this shit. Okay, bet. So now I'm invested into a character because I like the actor.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think he's very talented. So that drew me towards Wes more. I was like, I hope this motherfucker don't die.
Right.
I really do.
Don't
So,
spoil nothing, by the way. We're gonna talk about everything eventually.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So Tristan, what character kind of stood out to you? What characters kind of stood out to you from the beginning? Once you were introduced.
The twins with the girl twin, whose name I've forgotten immediately.
Her name was Mindy.
Mindy.
Mindy,
Yeah.
yeah, because she was like, oh, there's a new Scream. Because keep in mind that this is like 25 years after everything else.
Right.
So they're real familiar of the history of their town that they're living in.
Mhm.
And there's like in-universe movie adaptations of everything too.
Right. The
They're
stab.
called like
the
Stab.
movie,
Yeah. So she's like really into this, and she's like the smartest out of all of them. She's like, obviously the killer is one of us. So
Right.
let's start Scooby Dooing this shit and let's see what's going on.
Right. I don't know. For me, who stood out? Mindy was one of the people that stood out. Right away, you kind of knew she was a comedic relief. And just the energy that she brought from a new character. Like with the movie like Scream and so many legacy characters returning, which we will talk about more down the line. It's kind of hard in a way to not judge them so much from so many other characters that we've seen. But I feel like Mindy is she's a character that is so different from what we've seen before in terms of Scream. But she also she fits right in. I also really enjoyed Chad actually, which is Mindy's brother. I think they had a really good relationship and kind of balanced each other out. As well as Sam. I think Sam was definitely had my eye. Sam and Tara, I had my eyes on both of them. But yeah. All right. All right. So now throughout the film, we get a lot of references to the original film, but the most evident one yet is the connection between Sam and Billy Loomis. Now we quickly discover that Billy Loomis is Sam's dad, and we get a lot of scenes of the two characters interacting through hallucinations, flashbacks, etc. So what do you all think of Sam's relationship to Billy, and do you really think it was like a necessary plot point to like have Billy like as Sam Dad for the new Scream? I'll start with you, Broadus.
I think it was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, I get why they did it. I get it. It added to that possibility that okay, maybe she's so crazy that maybe she is the one hawking people up and she just doesn't know it. I
Mm-hmm.
get that. And also you want to bring in, like you said, a legacy character.
Right.
One of the original killers.
Right.
Like who
Spoiler
wouldn't
alert, by
want
the
to be
way. I mean, this movie been out since 1996, so if you ain't see it,
exactly. If you ain't see it, that's
that's on
on you. I
you.
don't give a fuck.
Uh,
Like I don't. But like I get it. You want to have Billy in there
right.
in some way. And I just don't think that it was necessary. I think that there was another avenue that they could explore, which we'll get into later.
Right.
Um, I think that it was unnecessary, but I also get why they did it to add that effect of what if she really is the one going crazy and killing people.
Right.
So yeah,
I like that. So, what do you think, Tristan? Did you think it was necessary to have Billy return?
I liked it actually. I like that they made her kind of like not crazy, but like she's less crazy and more so scared of being like her father
Mm-hmm.
hmm
that it's making her seem suspicious. And I really liked how they did that. Like cuz it wasn't overbearing.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It wasn't like, oh, he's there at every corner of the way. It was like these really specific moments that furthered the plot along and furthered her character development along really well. So I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I can agree. I think I'm on the fence with both of this. I can agree with both of you. I was very confused at first when I saw Billy. I was like I'm for those of you who listening, you can't see the faces I just made, but like I was like, huh? But I mean, I was glad to see him because Billy was such a like probably still to this day in my top three of all time screen killers. Probably top two, maybe number one. Like I really enjoy Billy and Stu. Like as like they were just amazing. So I get the whole aspect of bringing him back because he's like fans and we all want to see him again on the screen,
Yeah.
the screen in terms of Scream. But I don't know. At the same time, I was
flip
like,
flop.
what does it? I mean,
Yeah.
at times I felt like at times I felt like some scenes maybe needed to be cut, but overall, I think in terms of Sam character development moving forward with the other Scream movies in the future, I think it was a
Yeah.
wise decision to make that connection and establish that connection right away, so us audience members can
Yeah.
get that. So
There
overall, I
was
think it was good.
there was like one thing that bothered me because we were watching it and we were like, how many times can you say I'm Billy Loomis's daughter before it starts to lose meaning?
Right.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they had her say it a lot. And we're like, we get it.
I guess
We get
they were
it.
just really trying to drill that in our head. So I guess because moving forward, Sam's going to be an important character. So they were just trying to really. I mean, in
Yeah.
that perspective too, I never thought about like the killer of one film going into a sequel of another film. Like the killer child being the main like protagonist per se. I never thought about
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
that was something that intrigues me. All right, but in this point of the film, after having her own interaction with the killer, Sam reaches out to an OG character in the Scream world, Dewey.
Man,
And we
Yes.
pick up with Dewey's life as a retired cop living in a trailer in the middle of nowhere. Now, Sam and Richie go to consult with Dewey to get some answers and on the new killings and to possibly recruit him. Now, Dewey does not seem to be in the best place and is really hesitant to help them until he finds out that Sam is Billy's daughter. Throughout the scene, Dewey gives Sam and Richie a play-by-play on how to handle the new killings before kicking them out of his house. Now we jump to Dewey giving his old pal Sydney Prescott a call. Dewey informs Sydney of the recent killings and warns her to stay away. He also follows up the same news with another Scream OG and his former lover, Gail Weathers. Only this time he do that through text and not a phone call. It was a little like shady and it was like a little cop out, but hey. But what did you both think of these legacy characters returning? I mean, Dewey, Gail, and Sydney are like they are Scream. Like when you think of
Yeah.
Scream, you think about these three characters alongside Ghostface. So what did you think of these legacy characters returning? I'll start with you, Broadus.
I think that it works. It didn't feel forced at all. It makes sense why she would go to Dewey, like, okay, we need help. You're the only one here. You're the only
Right.
one within immediate proximity that I can contact about this. I need
Right.
your advice. It makes sense. It didn't feel forced like a movie that came out this year. We shall not mention Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh yeah, we ain't gonna talk about that. That was
Yeah,
go ahead. Keep pushing
that
forward.
was awful.
We ain't gonna talk about that.
I think that the way that they did it, it was not only was it fan service, but it made sense to the story.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Tristan?
I like that they put the legacy characters in there and they weren't like forced down our throats.
Mm-hmm.
And it also kind of drove home that this is not a reboot, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
Cuz I think when it came out they weren't super like specific about whether or not it was a reboot or whether or not it was like a thing, cuz I thought when we went to go see it I thought it was a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they had people that I recognized from the other movies, and there I was like, "Oh shit, this is a sequel for real."
Right.
It was a recall.
And that really like drove home when you
It
see
was a
Billy
recall.
Loomis in the back seat too.
It's a
So-
recall, as Mindy.
It's a recall.
A requel,
Yeah,
a reboot,
sequel.
and a sequel. Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. Anytime seeing them on the screen in the Scream world again is amazing. Dewey. I've grown to love Dewey even more and more and more throughout the films. The first film he wasn't like I like Dewey, but he was like, and now seeing Dewey this time I was like, okay, Dewey's back. I'm pumped. Like I was excited, and seeing Gail has always been probably one of my favorite characters of the Scream world. Just a phenomenal character. I love the way that Courtney Cox portrays her. We ain't see Gail yet during this moment, like when he texts her, but we know this.
Yeah, we get to her.
Yeah.
And Sydney Prescott. Oh my God! Like I don't know what more to say about Neve Campbell. I mean, this woman is just when she comes on the screen, you just feel the presence immediately. Probably one of my favorite final girls. And I love the fact that we pick up on her life, and she's just like she's been gone away from Woodsboro, living her life,
it up.
not even worrying about this. Like it just shows the growth of the character, and that these traumatic events did not like shape her to be like this victim in a way that we see from a lot of other similar movies in terms of this like slasher genre.
Like Dewey.
Yeah.
Like Dewey.
Yeah.
Kind of. But
Dewey was more like Dewey came off as more like a victim more than the other two.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he stayed, he didn't leave.
Yeah, you could argue that she didn't become that traumatized like Lori did in Halloween.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that was a lot to unpack, everybody.
Yes.
So I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Let's go to another ad break.
Yes.
And then we'll see y'all when we get back.
All right. We got the commercial break. Oh shit, I'm supposed to be going Hey y'all, okay listen, I already know y'all enjoying this content and I want to put y'all on to even more great content. Make sure y'all go check your boy out on YouTube at I Am Terrell. I got all the quality videos for y'all. I got TV show and movie reactions, hilarious commentary videos, a little gaming videos thrown in there, and some singing from time to time. So if y'all like the sounds of that, make sure y'all go check out I Am Terrell on YouTube. Alright, so I'm gonna go now because I think I only had 15 seconds to do this and I took longer than 15 seconds and I'm talking right now and I'm taking even longer than 15 seconds. It might cut out when I'm talking, so and remember, I Am Terrell on YouTube.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Bloody Red Table Talk. Let's get back to this discussion.
All right, everyone. So, in this point in the film, the group, including Dewey, decide to meet up at Mindy and Chad's house where they discuss the possible murderers and the recent killings. I also love the fact that we get to see Randy's sister, Dewey, and I'm sorry, Randy's sister, Mindy, and Chad's mom kind of make a cameo because she was in Scream 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, after discussing their possible connections to the killings, they all soon discover that every victim so far is somehow connected to the original killings that took place in 1996. Mindy explains that the killer seems to be a fan of the Stab movies. They are kind of parody movies in the Scream world, and they are trying to make a requel, as we said earlier. Fast forward in the film a little bit. We're going to jump a little bit ahead. Maybe like not too far ahead. Maybe like a good 3 minutes. No, maybe like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Into the film, or 10 minutes. We unfortunately see Ghostface murder mother and son pair, Judy and Wes Hicks, in an epic showdown. Now, let's briefly discuss this. What did you all think of these murders? Because Judy Hicks was definitely a somewhat of, she had a presence in Scream 4. And we were introduced to her son Wes Hicks. So what did you think of the whole interaction and kind of the showdown between Judy, Wes, and Ghostface? I'll start with you, Broadus.
The execution of that scene in general, first of all, was fucking insane. That whole
Yeah.
segment was done perfectly. Like I
Yeah, it
can't
was
think
really
of a
good.
better way to do it. Ghostface comes off as a fucking maniac.
Right.
Like the psychological games that he plays with the mom to get her back to the house because she was leaving to go to the station, right?
She was going to get food.
No,
Yeah,
she's gonna get sushi.
sushi. That's right,
Yeah.
sushi. My bad. Um, so she going to get food. Ghostface calls her, says, "Hey, nobody's home protecting your boy." She goes back. She gets hawked up. So I'm
Have
like,
you
okay,
seen the
they're not
movie
going to kill
Psycho?
two. Yeah, exactly. They're not going to kill two characters in the same scene. That's my way of thinking. You
Right.
barely see
Yeah.
that. So the whole scene is a build up to that moment. Those common horror tropes, you close the door, they're right behind the door. They lead us to believing that that's going to happen within the next,
Yeah.
with every shot, but we don't know when. And when it happens, it's like, damn, that's crazy as hell. So
Right.
the execution, the score, the music, the anxiety that you feel,
Mm-hmm.
it really works, and I love it. I'm mad they killed Wes, but I love it.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
That boy
Wes and
did.
Judy. R.I.P. Wes and Judy.
That boy did not need to die. There was
Oh,
no
man.
reason for him to
I
die.
honestly, I honestly thought he was going to survive more,
I thought he
possibly
was the
into the
killer for a
film.
hot minute. I'm not gonna lie.
Um, I didn't
Bullshit.
suspect Wes, but we're gonna go more to
I
that.
didn't. Yeah.
What did you think, Tristan, of this scene?
I like the whole scene, and I like what Broadus said about the anxiety building because they set you up to get jump scared. I think a couple of times,
At
and
least
there's nobody there. It's nothing there. I was like, oh, now I feel dumb for jumping because there's nobody there. But like that whole scene, because there's anxiety from the killer's in the house with
Right.
him, obviously, and then there's also like this rush of adrenaline you're getting because you know Judy's gonna make it back in time
Mm-hmm.
because plot, she needs to make it back in time, and if she doesn't, what are they going to do then? Like what kind of plot twists are they working for? But I didn't think that both of them were going to die in the same scene. I thought she was going to fight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to I thought she was going to
Yeah.
see it happen and then fight a little bit since they had already set a precedent. I was like, oh, you can actually survive these attacks now because of the beginning. So I was like, oh, she might fight and she might live and then we'll see you later. Nope, dead immediately.
It was so unexpected in such a good way. Like piggybacking off what you both said, it was beautifully done. Like probably, in my opinion, the most well shot scene in terms of Ghostface interacting with his next victim.
Yeah.
And throughout this entire movie, it was, you really didn't know what was going to happen, and there were so many good moments where you thought there was going to be a jump scare and it wasn't. And the moment you're like,
Exactly.
it's not going to, like, you're relieved it's not going to be a jump scare, that's when it happens and it takes you off guard. And it was done so well. Shout out to both of the actors, every actor including that film, the actor who played Wes, the actor who played Judy, just phenomenal job. We will miss Judy in the Scream franchise and Wes, but I just think it was done in such a good way, and a very surprising way actually, because the other kills that we see in the film, they aren't bad. They just aren't. I feel like this was the most like brutal
Yeah, that
one.
one. This one was cool.
Not like
Yeah.
it was the most like, it felt the most like Ghostface to me. Like the type of mind games Ghostface played for, like, all right, you did. So I
then,
really
like,
enjoyed it.
they have you believe for a second that Wes might escape this.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, because, I think physically Wes was bigger than Ghostface. Like, in that scene, right?
Yeah.
He was just
It
taking
looked
off
like
guard
it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure who was under the mask. In terms
at that
the
moment.
killer that was under the mask. At that moment. But I don't want to spoil nothing because I kind of just spoiled something. Just saying
I mean,
that.
hey, yeah, we totally spoiled it.
All right. So now we jump to see Gail Weathers, I'm sorry, arrive on the scene of the crime after the murders of Judy and Wes. Now, Gail interacts with Sam about the recent murders briefly before storming to Dewey out of frustration through news over text. She was like, you can't just be texting that to me, my guy. Like, you gotta call me about something like that. So
Yeah.
let's briefly discuss this. Let's briefly discuss Gail and Dewey's relationship throughout the entire Scream, like just the entire Scream franchise, because I know that Courtney and David, I believe they were married actually in real life for some time, and so how that kind of plays into it as well in terms of how they interact on screen as well. So what did you all think? Like how do you all view their relationship?
Um,
You can kind of feel
I
like
move
the
my hands a
hurt.
lot too. I'm like I'm better
you
right
can
now. Ben, oh, go ahead.
you can feel like the hurt and the tension between them as soon as they're in the same room together. And
Mhm,
she's like, "Wow, what happened to you?" Because he's noticeably different now, and he's
mhm.
sad, and you can feel his
yeah.
sad in every scene he's in. Because again, he's the one that most comes off as a victim
All right.
more than the other two.
Hmm.
So it's like you can feel that there's like history between them, and you know that, of course. But for someone who didn't watch, like, if you didn't watch all of the movies, you can definitely feel that through the screenwriting and through their body language and stuff on screen.
All right.
Yeah. Gail and Dewey, their whole relationship, like Tristan said, you can feel the past relationship that they had, and the way that the actors play it is so well to me. It's like there's hurt, there's pain there because of what transpired between those two, but there's obviously this care and love for each other. They just can't be together.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
don't think it will work. Um, and they play that very well. He's like, Gail tells Dewey be careful. Dewey tells Gail be careful. Like
Yeah.
it's
I
very,
Wait, go
huh?
ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's very. I want to say mature because in a lot of movies when characters break up, is always fuck you. you know,
Yeah.
much similar to real life. You know how it goes.
Yeah, just an incredible characters with so much history and dynamic between those two. It's very interesting still because even though this is years later and we kind of see them, they aren't really as close as they used to. I mean, when Sydney answers the phone, she's like surprised to hear from Dewey, like, "Oh, how have you been?" And we understand. We can all obviously like pick up that Dewey and Gail aren't together anymore because like you see him just watching her on the news in his trailer, and like it's kind of insinuated through small things that they aren't together anymore. So it's interesting seeing them reunite again for the first time in so long. And it's so weird in a way because this is the first time they're feeling all these emotions from their past relationship and everything else, but it's also they're feeling those same emotions because of the fact that this thing is happening yet again, and so they're trying to scramble with all that. So it's definitely interesting seeing them back together in person. I just enjoyed them together very well. Um, all right. That's a lot. All right. Now, soon after realizing that there is no police at the hospital guarding Tara because of the recent murder, Sam and Dewey rush over to the hospital to check up on her. Now, in the meantime, Tara is fighting for her life against Ghostface, y'all. She's scrapping with injuries
Yep.
in a powerless hospital. Now, Richie then appears at the hospital stating that Sam sent him to check up on Tara just to be attacked by Ghostface himself. So Richie, I'm not gonna lie, Richie, you kind of weren't no help in the scene. Like he
Not at all.
he just like
Not at
appeared
all.
and he
No.
got attacked and he just fell out.
He's a burden to himself and others.
Dewey and Sam arrive at the hospital just in time, though, as they find Ghostface on the verge of killing Tara. Now, Sam is able to distract the killer long enough for Dewey to shoot him down with several bullets. Now, they all start to make their way to the elevator to exit when Dewey decides to stay alone to make sure that the job is finished. Now, this is where it gets serious, y'all. Okay, so this is serious. So as Dewey is approaching
Spoiler
the
alert.
body, Dewey's like, it's always a rule in Scream that you got to shoot the person in the head. So Dewey was about to officially kill Ghostface, but then he is distracted by a phone call from Gale, which allows Ghostface to get up and attack Dewey, which results in Dewey being killed in an epic showdown between Ghostface. Now, this is probably hands down one of the most devastating and the biggest deaths in Scream history. What did you think of it? And I'll start out. This how we gonna go. This is how we gonna go. Tristan, and then I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna let Broadus go last because I know Broadus has a lot to say about this moment. So go ahead, Tristan. We'll start with you.
No, this was sad, actually. It was really sad because you don't expect the legacy characters to die. Like, there's always a chance it's gonna happen, but you don't expect them to die. And if they do die, it's for shock value and it's not done very well. This one, as sad as it was done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like, for the killer to be up on him, like, hilt deep with a knife in him and be like, this was an honor, and then to kill him and just leave, to dip out. I was like, oh, that's disrespectful,
Right.
but it's also very cool.
That scene was crazy. I in my gut, as soon as he did that, I was like, well, that's the end of Dewey. I mean, going into the movie initially, I thought in my mind, if there was any legacy character to kill, Dewey would be the perfect character, because Dewey is kind of the glue to the group in a way. Dewey is he holds them together, because really Gail and Sydney don't really have a relationship really until, I want to say, maybe this one, where we really get to see Gail and Sydney alone for like the first time, because Dewey was always that glue to help them together. They both are very close with Dewey, but like they never really kind of mesh. So in terms of plotline and moving the story forward, I do believe Dewey was the best character to go out of the legacy characters. But it is bittersweet because he is a fan favorite, and he was there to help Sydney with so many of the final showdowns of Ghostface. So it's going to be definitely different, as we seen at the end of this movie without Dewey in the final showdown. But what did you think, Brothers, of this? He just sighs. All right. You told me, y'all, Broadus told me earlier that he gonna have one word to say about this. So I want to hear this one word you got to say about this.
Give us the one word.
It's more so 3.
All right.
Fuck Scream 5. That's it. Wow. All I gotta say.
But what did you think? Okay, so I know you weren't the happiest when Dewey died, but what do you think in terms of, like, did you think it helped the plot, or do you think it will help?
Honestly, yes. Like you said, there was a few final showdowns. Maybe how many was it where Dewey wasn't in the final showdown? Like,
I can't get that exact number right now. He might have been there for like during one period for all of them.
Yeah, so the dynamic definitely changed for the ending. It definitely gave that impact of we're hopeless now.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And like Tristan said, you don't expect legacy characters to die unless it's done cheesy and corny. This was done very well. Right. It was very well shot. One, I don't know if the killer had a fucking bulletproof vest on.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you shoot somebody that's fucking close with a gun, even if they have a bulletproof vest on, that shit is gonna break through. I don't care what nobody say.
I don't think it was that close. Actually, they were quite. I think they were in the elevator.
I think Sam was in the elevator. I can't remember.
I can't remember
still
exactly.
Close enough. Dewey was on the ground, right? At first, when that happened. Maybe
I can't remember. Go ahead, just go ahead. I cannot remember. I know we supposed to be doing the whole thing, but I can't remember that.
Yeah, he. Regardless, that was a lot of bullets, and
you just got possessed.
It works. It just angered me because I was like, "Damn, I really like Dewey," and he got hard.
Oh, so was that the sound that you made when Dewey died?
I was like, what the fuck? I was sitting there like this.
Yo, when we saw it in the theater and Dewey died, the gasps like peppered throughout the audience in the theater. Right. Like that was crazy.
It was so funny because I went to go see it with Brendan, and this woman was like right next to me, and me and Brendan are like horror movie fans. I try to keep up. Brendan knows a lot more than me, but I kind of already knew at a certain point. And so when Dewey died, this woman was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh shit. When Dewey died,
I was like, Okay, that took me. I had to laugh
when
with her with that because that was funny. Go ahead, run
when Dewey died, what I tell you,
this.
the minute he got stabbed, I texted Terrell, "Fuck this movie." I was
You did.
so
You did.
I was so over it. Like, I was like, "Yo, fuck this movie." The movie was going perfectly
Right.
smooth for me up until that moment, and I got so mad. So, with that
Dewey,
being
I
said,
mean,
fuck Scream
we
Five.
gonna miss Dewey.
We are.
Listen. We ain't even over the movie yet. All right, we gonna miss Dewey though because he was a major just character in the whole Scream franchise. But I'm definitely interested to see how moving forward how Gail and Sydney are gonna kind of how that friendship is gonna kind of go. I'm intrigued though for the results. But I do think it was Dewey's time in terms of all of the legacy characters. Gail is such a presence that I feel like you need Gail there because I feel like Gail gives that edge. And
Especially the
Sydney,
way
you
they
can't kill
set
Sydney.
her up.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
kill Sydney. It's just you can't. Like if you kill Sydney Prescott, I'm gonna have to wrap it up.
We
I'm
have
like,
to hit the old dusty
right.
trail.
But yeah.
Emotions are running high right now. I think I need a break. Let's run another ad, please. Let's get this. We'll see y'all in a
We'll be
few,
right
man.
back, y'all.
We will be right back.
Do you like Twitch? Do you like video games? Well, come on over to Undaunted underscore gaming on Twitch. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Undaunted underscore gaming on Twitch. I play all the games and I do all this chatting and all this talking and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, if I don't see y'all within the next 2 seconds, I'm going to be mad. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bloody Red Table Talk. If you haven't already, make sure you follow us on all our social medias, please.
Ooh, yes,
We
we
need
need it.
the follows.
We do need it
But
actually.
but
we
now,
back in. We back in.
please. But let's get into this final act. Let's wrap. Let's take it home.
All right, y'all. So Sydney arrives to the hospital the next day to find Gail and the others grieving the recent loss of Dewey. Now, just as Tara and Sam agree that it'll be best that they flee town, Sydney confronts Sam, trying to convince the two sisters that fleeing away from Woodsboro won't fix the issue. Now, let's quickly discuss this actually, because we never usually see people wanting to flee during moments like this in horror movies. Like, what are we thinking when Sam and Tara's like, you know what? Let's get the fuck out. This is not our scene no more. Let's go.
Smartest horror movie characters ever. Because why
Smartest.
are you staying?
Yeah.
Who the fuck? This person. Keep in mind with horror movies, this person has killed all of your friends.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All of your friends. Why are you staying to fight? That's just not working. Why? Obviously, it's not working. Everybody you know and love is dead.
Right.
Get the
Well,
fuck
not
out.
everybody, but you know, a lot of them.
Virtually, yeah.
Most of them are dead.
Yeah, so I think it's the smartest damn thing I heard in a Scream movie, if we're being honest. And there's a few,
Yeah.
I can't. It wouldn't have been me. She'd have been like, "You have to stay. It won't stop." That's not my fucking business. I'm leaving.
You know what? I wouldn't even gave
The
Sydney.
only thing I have to do is stay black and
I wouldn't
die.
even.
Exactly.
I wouldn't even give Sydney the time of the day. When I tell you, I would have ignored the hell out of Sydney. Like, I'm sorry, but I gotta leave because when I promise y'all, when I was in the actual movie theater and that shit happened, when they said that, I literally could not, like, my body, it just was a natural reaction. I was like, thank you. I was like,
Thank you.
Finally, somebody in these fucking scenarios be like, hey,
Let's
this
leave.
is a weird idea. Let's go. Let's just
Like,
leave all this bullshit. It's not my
This is
problem.
some wild shit. Maybe we should skedaddle. And
And
then Sam had left before. Sam was smart
Right,
because
Sam
she had
was
to come
like,
back for her sister. She
yeah.
had gotten the fuck out of
Look,
there.
she was
before.
always gonna ride for Tara. Like, Sam gonna ride for Tara. That's one thing. She gonna ride for
Right.
her.
She was like, I'm taking my sister and I'm getting the fuck out. Wasn't that her goal to begin
Yeah.
with when she came?
Yeah.
When she came back, she was like, I'm taking my sister and I'm leaving.
My sister's in the hospital. When she gets released, we're out this bitch.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
All
she
right.
had no intention to stay.
All right.
Yeah.
The mother was like not around. The mother was.
Yeah, the mother wasn't around.
They were like going places.
The
and
mother
stuff,
was
right?
like traveling something or something for work.
Yeah.
It was something. And I know the dad left because he found out that Billy was Sam's father, and that was a whole thing.
I know that shit had to hurt. I'd have smacked that bitch.
Um,
That one, my bad.
You already
Okay.
said it. You already said
Okay.
it.
Okay. Let's keep it moving. Let's
But anyways, y'all, Sam completely washes away any advice Sydney is giving her and decides to leave. But don't worry, because Sydney is prepared for this and secretly puts a GPS tracker on Sam to know where she is at all times. Now, Tara, Sam, and Richie all hit the road as they prepare to flee until Sarah realizes that she needs her inhaler, which she's lost at the hospital somewhere. Now, to avoid any more crazy hospital showdowns, they all agree to go to Amber's house where she has a backup inhaler stored.
the
All right,
greatest
now, so
ingredients ever.
all right, now, so we get a lot of things happening in this upcoming scene. So I'm kind of brush through it really quick. We start off the scene at Amber's party where the group seems to be having a party at Amber's house. I'm sorry, in memorial of Wes. It is also important to note that during this scene, the cast makes a toast in honor of the real Wes, not the West in the movie, but the Wes who is really in charge of this whole thing, Wes Craven, the original director of the Scream movies, who sadly passed away in 2015. Us here at the Mystery Brothers, we want to thank you, Wes, seriously, for all the
Yes.
amazing work that you have done in terms of the world of horror and the horror genre. Without Wes Craven, there would be no Scream. We
Yep.
would not have the Scream that we have now. So, really, just in honor of Wes, we really truly think we thank you, Wes. But during this scene, we get a lot of crazy and funny moments, including funny dialogue between Minnie and various characters on telltale signs on how to identify dangerous scenarios. Now, briefly, like maybe not even a minute, let's talk about this because this was very funny because throughout the film you kind of see Mindy like be this comedic relief, as we say, and it was a lot of funny moments where she was like, I'm not going down there with you, you might be the killer, like
Yeah.
we kind of see that with Chad
Yes.
as well, Mindy's twin, because Chad was like, he was talking to Liv, he was like, I'm not having sex with you because you still might be the killer, like
Yeah.
I'm not setting myself up. Like what you?
Right.
So I go ahead.
I was say motherfuckers was smart up to a
It
certain
was
point,
it
you
was
know.
it was so smart and it was so funny. I mean, they are the two by far like the two perfect characters to be Randy. Like anything in terms of relation to Randy,
Exactly.
that they were perfect.
Yeah.
Um,
The my bad.
go ahead.
The whole thing when he was like, "I'm not having sex with you because you might be a killer," and then I forgot her name. She got offended.
Liv. It was Liv.
Yeah, Liv
Yeah.
got offended. So it like why would you be offended by that? Like, hold on, are you the
Right. Like if you're
killer?
not the killer, why are you offended?
Right.
There's
Yeah.
also
So
a scene during the party and I think it's Mindy and Amber. They're in the basement together and they're grabbing
Mhm.
drinks. It was like, it's not smart to be down here by yourself. It's like,
Right.
because you might be the killer. I was like, well, I'm
right.
not the killer because I'm the killer. And she admitted it. And then they were like, aha, a joke.
Right. It was
Yeah,
that was a nice little like
Yeah,
piece of
that was
it.
that was cool.
All right, y'all. But
what's fucked up though? What one
what?
more thing, if you don't
Go
mind.
ahead. Go ahead.
When Mindy's like, "I'm the killer," a small part of me is like, "Are you? Are
I
you
mean, if
really?"
Minnie was the killer, it would have been done well because she do everything. But it was
But the
too
thing is,
obvious.
Scream did that.
Yeah, that would have been too obvious.
It's
Like
like
I'm
she
gonna
knew
say
that.
Scream
Mindy
did
and
that before.
Sam, if either one of them had been the killer, then that would have been way too obvious and it would have ruined the movie.
Right.
Yeah,
Did
to,
somebody
and,
call
and
me?
plus Scream, the TV show did that with the other girl in the third
Yeah.
season. The one who knew everything was the killer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
y'all, I'm getting the. Chad was actually baited and was unfortunately another victim of the killer attacks. Now, as Sarah, we picking up on this by the way. So Chad was baited by the killer and was another victim of the killer attacks. As Sarah, Tara, and Richie arrives at Amber House, Sydney recognizes the place from the GPS that she put on Sam, and calls Sam to inform her that she has been lured in a trap, and it's revealed that Amber House is Stu House. Now, Stu was one of the original killers from
Hmm.
the original Scream in 1996. When they arrive to their house, I'm sorry, Amber quickly announces that the party is over and asks everyone except the main group members to leave. They all split up and to find Tara's inhaler. When a sneaky Ghostface sneaks up on Mindy trying to kill her. Luckily, Sam heard all the commotion and came in and rescued her by attacking Ghostface. This caused Ghostface to flee, and Sam begins to help Mindy's with her wound. And suddenly everybody comes into the room slowly, one at a time. But Amber comes in first, actually, and Amber finds Sam helping Mindy, but accuses Sam of being the killer because the situation just kind of looked bad and crazy all over. Now, there's a brief moment where they also suspect Liv for being the killer because she enters the room with blood covered all over her hands. But Liv quickly explains that she's found Chad's body, and that's where the blood has come from. Now, hold on to your seats because this is where things get really crazy, and I'll try to sum it up even more.
Major spoiler alert, by the way.
Whoa, you lie.
Dang, got the message across.
Okay. Okay. So Amber quickly reveals herself to be the killer and shoots Liv in the back of the head. So we have killer number one revealed, which is Amber. Then she tries to shoot Sam and Tara. She tries to shoot Sam, but Tara manages to stop her. Now, during all the chaos, Sam and Richie run to the basement to escape, where Richie tries to convince Sam that Tara is a killer as well. Now, Sam doesn't believe what Richie tells her and runs back upstairs to find her sister all tied up and gagged in the closet. Now, note, there is a brief moment where Sam was very hesitant to kind of free, her sister Tara because of what Richie said. She was like, are you the killer? Like, were you like luring me and baiting me this entire time? Now, Sydney and Gail arrived to the house with weapons, leading Amber to go to the front door and pretend like to be a distraught victim, like she was stabbed and all.
Nah.
And Sydney and Gail, they've been to too many rodeos. They called it out immediately. They was like, nope, this fake. This you trying to trap us, which leads Amber to shooting Gail in the stomach. Now, leaving an injured Gail outside, Sydney enters the house and immediately receives a call from Ghostface, but she quickly hangs up because she's bored. I love,
She's like, I'm over this.
I love the
I'm
development of
over this.
Sydney now, where she's just like, this is boring. I've been there, done that. Come on, let's get this up so I can go home. Cause you
Yes.
like this ain't nothing
Right.
to me no more. I love that development from Sydney. She accidentally shoots Richie in the leg as he was hiding behind the door, but then Ghostface surprises her and attacks her. This leads to an epic battle between Sydney and Ghostface, and they scramble to get the gun first. Now, as Richie approaches from upstairs to help, Sam comes out of nowhere to pick up the gun and point it at Ghostface. Now, as Sam is pointing the gun at Ghostface, Richie is making his way downstairs, but Richie takes a knife and stabs Sam in the gut, revealing himself to be the second Ghostface killer. What are we thinking about these killers? Now we got the two killers revealed. Killer number one is Amber, and killer number two is Richie. What are we thinking?
Beep, Richie.
I'll start with you.
Honestly, I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it from the beginning when they met at the hospital at Tara's bed. They shared this look, and it was like this awkward tension between the 2
Mm-hmm.
And some people can argue that because that's the sister's boyfriend, and it's like, oh, why are you here too? You can argue that,
Mm-hmm.
but the look didn't make sense to me. And then on top of that, at the hospital again, when Richie got attacked, he got slashed, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. Ghostface wasn't relentless in trying to kill him. And when Ghostface got shot, he looked with concern, like, oh shit. Like, and it wasn't like a oh shit. Like, Ghostface finally dead. He was like, yeah, I'm good. It was one of those moments, like, shit. Like, damn, my accomplice is dead. Now I gotta do this shit on my own.
Right.
So, like, I picked up on it, and I was like, okay, these motherfuckers are the killer. There was a few moments where I was like, maybe they're setting this up on purpose.
Right.
To lure us. But once it happened, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. All right, I was right.
All right. So what do you think about this Tristan? Were you like suspecting him?
I was suspecting Amber like from the beginning because I was like that bitch is weird.
Yeah,
Like she
very
was
weird.
weird.
Like
She was weird the whole movie.
suspiciously weird. Like
Right. It was like you're suspicious, and I didn't suspect Richie until after they were in the trailer with Dewey, and they were like, and Dewey was like, it's always the boyfriend. Boyfriend's the first one you should look at. It's always the significant other.
Right.
And I was like, oh damn, okay, so I'm just gonna keep an eye on him too. But I was also super scared that it was still gonna be Sam.
Right.
Because that would have ruined the movie like almost immediately had it been Sam. So I was like, okay, well if it's Richie, then it's Richie. I know for sure it's Amber.
Right.
But I need Sam to not be the second killer. And I thought it was really weird that they were trying to pin the blame on this crippled teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
who they
like,
tied up and put in a closet. I was like, she can barely walk. How's she gonna go around killing people?
yeah, exactly.
I okay, so it took me. I knew who one of the killers was. I immediately knew it was Richie. Like not even. It was the first scene I saw him in when they were in the bowling alley outside of it. I was like, it's him. I looked at Brandon. I was like, it's him. I immediately felt like the presence and well done, amazing job to Jack Quad who played Richie, by the way. Fucking
Yeah.
phenomenal, like just incredible. Mikey Madison as well, amazing job with Amber. But Richie definitely took the highest. And we want to rank both of the killers. Richie did so good because even through all the chaos, he was still playing that role. He was still playing that, oh, the nice boyfriend, the funny boyfriend, innocent role. He was playing the hell out of that role.
Yeah.
And so, amazing job. But I knew it was him immediately. Now, I was kind of on the fence between Amber and Tara. And this is why I said Tara, because Tara she survived like the first thing. I was like, that's odd. No one ever like survives. I was like, if Ghostface wanted to kill her, like Ghostface could have killed already. And then Tara, it was just so many scenarios where they were setting it up for you to think that it was Tara. But the moment that they were in the car, and she was like, I forgot my inhaler, and they were like, well, we have to go back. I was like, it's for sure it's one of the killers that's in that car. And I was like, I don't think it's Amber. I mean, I don't think it's Tara anymore. I was like, I don't know what about that car scene, but it just was like something.
Yeah, no, it was weird.
And I also knew it for sure. I kind of suspected Amber, but Amber kind of disappeared as well as so many other characters, like in the middle of the film, and they kind of started focusing more towards the legacy characters and like the sisters and everything.
Yeah.
But I knew it was her for sure when she was like, "All right, everybody, the party is over." I was like, "It's you. It's you.
Yeah. It's like, why are you kicking everybody out of your house?
It's you." I was like, "Give it up. It's you."
The thing about Amber being it makes sense that it was Amber as well, because how this motherfucker got your phone,
right,
and is texting from your phone, and has a recording of you, and he's sending it from your phone. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't know. Like, and then you attack Ghostface attacks. Like, I feel like all of that was premeditated. Everything she did it before.
Yeah. And the other thing was like in the beginning, only the best friend would have like the code or whatever to unlock and lock the doors the way that she was doing in the beginning of the movie.
Exactly.
Like only someone who's been in the house would know how to do that.
Well, they all were very close, so they all were friends. So
yeah.
But still,
but they made it real clear in the beginning. Well, they were in the hospital scene, the first one before all the shit happened. They made it real clear that Amber was Tara's best friend.
Yeah,
because she told all of them to step.
Yeah, because she helped Sam were like babysitting them when they were younger and everything. Yeah, I knew also another thing. I didn't realize this actually until I was going back and like doing some research for this. There was like a brief moment. And shout out to the YouTuber Zach Cherry. I believe it was Zach Cherry who pointed this out on one of his videos while I was doing research. There was a moment, or it might have been another channel. I'm sorry if I'm not sourcing you the correct channel. Where in the hospital scene, the first scene, there's a moment where Amber reveals like a bruise that she's had from the interaction with Tara, but it was like very brief and you don't see it like unless you're really paying attention. Or like she reveals it and she covers it up real quick. As well as I knew it was Richie even more because how quickly obsessed he became with the stab movies. And once Mindy had like said it was a recall and they were fans, it all even clicked even more for me in terms of Richie being one of the killers.
It was also implied that they were only dating because he made her think that he didn't know anything about the town, didn't know anything about the stabs, didn't know anything about the killings. So I think it was implied, if I'm not mistaken, that that's why they were dating, because she thought she could have a fresh start with him.
Yeah.
All right. So once both of the killers are revealed, they reveal that their motive behind the killings is to make a proper stab requel. Because the last one was just not good at all, honestly. It's important to note that this is kind of a joke to mock the toxic fandom that comes from the actual Scream franchise. Because it'd be some toxic Scream fans out there, so that was kind of a way to mock
toxic fans for everything.
Yeah, it was kind of like making fun of like
us.
All toxic fandoms.
Yeah. So the killer planned on framing Sam because they planned on framing Sam because she was Billy's daughter, and I think that's That's like, okay, that's pretty easy. Just frame Sam, whatever. But to make a long story short, there was an epic showdown between the killers and the victims. Sydney and Gail tag team Amber. They broke a glass of liquor on her head and pushed her to the fire, which set her on fire, and she burned to the ground. And Sam attacked Richie from his like from the back, which led to them getting into a really big fight. And Richie was actually about to win this fight and about to kill Sam, but then Sam gets a flashback / hallucination from Billy, revealing that there was a knife hidden under the curtain. She then uses this knife to stab Richie. I am not exaggerating with this, a crazy amount of times.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it was a lot.
and then
Mhm.
she shoots him several times just to make sure. It was like if y'all don't think this motherfucker dead, I'ma shoot him. I'ma shoot him now to prove that this motherfucker is dead. Then Sydney and Gail join Sam as a burnt Amber comes running in frantically towards them with a knife before being shot in the head by Tara. During all this as well, Tara was kind of tied up and then she was knocked out unconscious, but she came back to consciousness and shot Amber. The killers are now dead and everyone is relieved. We also discover in this scene that Minnie and Chad are not dead and they are both being transported to a hospital. What do we think of the killer's motive? I'll start with Tristan this time.
Um, I liked it just because of the fact that they were like, again, it's making fun of toxic fandoms and everything. And there was actually a news story that two teenage boys actually did do this,
Mm-hmm.
went around and killing their friends so they could be as big as the Scream movies
Mm-hmm.
and everything. Like they did it just for publicity. So that is something that happens with like these fandoms and this and like when people go crazy, like the girls who attacked their friend because of Slender Man,
Yeah.
like stuff like that shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to showcase it like that and make the two killers weird and creepy too was like, that was really good. It was very well done.
What did you
Their,
think of the motive, Broadus?
their fucking dialogue was so fucking weird. Once you find
Mm-hmm.
out they're the
Yeah, it
killer,
was creepy.
like, I love you. Nah, nah, nah. Like, bitch, shut
Mm-hmm.
up. Damn, talk normal.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, but honestly, to me, I get the motive. I understand it. To
Mm-hmm.
me, maybe this is just because, like, I don't know. I expected a different motive almost.
Mm-hmm.
I think the motive's kind of stupid to me. To me, that's just to me.
Mm-hmm.
I get the motive. I was figuring they would go a different route with the motive. I don't think I shouldn't say it was stupid. It just caught me so off guard. Where I was like, "Wow, you're doing this shit for a movie."
Right.
It's like when people like I think it's a stupid motive. Like it's not a bad decision, but I think it's a stupid motive. Like when people like the people,
It is
yeah,
objectively stupid, but it
yeah.
works
Objectively, it's a
in a way.
stupid ass motive. Like when they was killed the girl for Slender Man and other
Mm-hmm.
related. It's stupid as fuck, but it
Mm-hmm.
works. I found myself when they were explaining it. The acting is so well done in this scene. When they're explaining it, I'm like, yeah, talk your shit, yeah. And I was like, hold on,
Mm-hmm.
they wrong. Hold up, but the motive,
Yo.
motive,
Talk your shit, killer. Oh wait.
yeah. Wait, hold on, wait a minute. Why am I rooting for y'all? But the motive, that's a testament of how good this movie is.
Right.
Um, where it was like, damn, like the acting was just phenomenal. The cinematography was phenomenal to me.
Right.
But I think the motive itself is stupid. But
Mm-hmm.
it was the right approach for this movie.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence with it. I think that I was expecting more almost in a way. I was like, okay, because from our previous Scream films, we've seen I would say better motives in a way. I was expecting more from the characters, like what is driving them to kill all these fucking people. But at the same time, I'm more so leaning towards I liked it actually, because it is a direct reflection on the Scream fans and how toxic
Yeah,
they can be. Even referencing a lot of the older movies, when I think about Scream 2 and the scene with Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps and them dying, like you go to this movie theater filled with crazy, frantic fans for the stab movies, and you think about Scream as a whole, and like it's just kind of like a ha ha. We're laughing at you now in a way. Um,
but
but I also like the fact that it was so stupid because when you think about the killers, they weren't like the greatest killers, and I think that was the point almost, like that
Yeah.
they were kind of uncoordinated and they were like weird and quirky and they didn't really know what they
Yeah.
were doing. It made
yeah,
They
the
had
motive,
to
it made
be
the
they had to be pale imitations of the original.
Yeah, not even that. It just made the motive make sense. It was like, okay, well, I'm not expecting from Stu and Billy. Okay, it makes sense. I'm not expecting a great motive to come from these two characters, honestly, because like we've seen them throughout the film, and they haven't really. So it's kind of it made sense, but it was like okay, but I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they had to be objectively crazy. Like you knew Amber was crazy from the jump. Like it was in her
Yeah,
eyes.
it's just the way she carried herself. Bitch was
Right.
weird.
Yeah. And the fact that wasn't she trying to like pin the blame on Richie even after they had like set her on
Yeah,
fire and shit?
that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's also something I wanted to point out really quick as well. I think they did a really good job with allowing the killers to like not be like because a lot of times when we see the killers or and just in terms of movies, if there's like more than one killer, they never try to blame each other. But this time they were like, oh, it could be you. I don't know. Like they were really like
Yeah.
Mhm.
in the parts of like shit.
Yeah.
It ain't
It's
me.
like, were
I don't
you
know.
manipulating me?
Right.
Like they
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Now
Um.
we're each gonna give 30 seconds in terms of final thoughts on Screen 5. I'll start it off with
Yeah.
Broadus. What are your final thoughts in 30 seconds?
Final thoughts. This is a very well done requel. I think that it was very well done. It wasn't forced.
Mhm,
Originally when I heard that Scream 5 was coming, I was like, "Wow,
mhm.
like, what's the point?" I think that it was very well done, very well executed. Everything from the cinematography to the score to the acting was very well done. There's a few things I would change, but that's me. Honestly, I think that if I was to rate this requel, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
All right. What about
Yeah,
you,
I'm
Drew?
going high. I'll give it 8 out of 10.
I'm not gonna lie. I really only went to go see this movie because it had Melissa Barrera in it. I only went to go see it for her. But like sitting there and watching it is very well done. And you like you see these other reboots for stuff, and you see these other like try to be sequels for stuff, and they're bad,
Mhm.
and they're poorly done. But this one, it shows that you can make like a requel or a reboot or whatever, and you can make it, and you can still have it well written. You can have your legacy characters,
All right.
and you can have these new characters, and you can have them coexist on screen, and it's not like we're trying to take away something, but we're trying to add something to this world.
Right. Yeah. I went to this hesitant. I knew this was me. I knew they were making Scream a while ago. You know, if you're on the Reddit, we kind of knew the behind the scenes. We were anticipating this for a while now. But I was kind of hesitant going into it because this is the first film that was directed not by Wes Craven.
Right.
And so that's his legacy. That's his baby. So Wes Craven is no longer with us. I didn't know how it was going to play out. I'm so glad that Neve, Courtney, and David all took the script and everything in terms of screen, but everything they took everything in the process very seriously to keep Wes Arner alive. So I appreciate them greatly. Amazing film, amazing cast. Like Brother said, some things I would change, but hey, overall, bravo. Screen 5, just bravo, bravo, bravo. I very much enjoyed it. All right, now we're gonna get. I mean, let me actually charge my computer for this shit die, and then I cut off the screen. Because that wouldn't be fun, would it?
Nope, not at all.
And I'm gonna also try to do
Yeah.
this without unplugging my other cords. There we go. All right.
Yay!
All right, so for today's horror news, it is official, people. Scream 6 will be released on March the 31st, 2023. What do we think of this?
No.
Why?
I
I
don't think they need to do another one. I think this one was pretty wrapped up pretty well.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
I feel like
agree.
if you do like I feel like if you do too many, it spoils it. I guess.
All right.
You get fatigue, especially my bad.
Go ahead.
You get fatigue, especially if it's a year apart. You'll definitely feel some fatigue. It's like, damn, man, we just seen this shit.
Right.
Like, what can they do? Now I'm nervous.
I think they're making it so quickly because of the success from the newest one. I wish they would have kind of spaced it out a little bit more so we can kind of like grieve these characters a little bit more in a way, like anticipate a little bit more. But hey, I'm excited. I'm always excited for a new Scream film. I feel like they can. I feel like they did, and they tried to do a lot of expanding with this new film in terms of new characters. So I'm actually interested to see how they'll carry that on, especially with Sam and Tara. And these two characters, if they are going to be at the new
As
Scream.
long as they bring my baby back, I'll watch it.
So I'm
That's all I
definitely
need.
interested, as well as Minnie and Chad. I'm interested to see kind of how they're going to move forward with the storyline with them, and it's going to be very interesting to see. Definitely Scream 6 coming 2023. All right,
Yeah,
now
man,
we're
I
gonna do
can't
an
wait.
Easter egg for the day in terms of the film. Now, did you all know that Kirby from Scream 4 actually survived the attacks? For those of you who do not know, Kirby was a fan favorite in Scream 4, and we witnessed her getting stabbed, but actually never really saw her body. In the new film, as Richie was watching a YouTube video, by the way, shout out to Dead Meat and James and everybody over at Dead Meat and the Kill Count, because they kind of did like a parody of their channel, like made a whole like fake YouTube channel and the actual Scream movie to like review and do it was very
Yeah.
Damn.
they actually on the side of that video, while Richie was studying videos for the stab movies, there actually was a recommended video to the right of the screen, which reads, "Interview with Woodsboro survivor Kirby Reed." Now, for those of you who aren't really into Scream or like the Scream world, the really like the Scream stands, like the people who really love Scream, this has been a debate since 2011, actually, since the last Scream came out, because out of all the characters that we've seen die, Kirby was the only character who we never actually seen the body. And so it was a
Hmm.
debate whether Kirby was alive because she got stabbed, but in the way she got stabbed, it wasn't like you wouldn't really necessarily die. Like it wasn't a sure death. So I'm interested actually to see as well if they're going to bring Kirby back, possibly in the future with a storyline like that, because she's another survivor.
Yep.
She's now on the side of like Sydney and Gail in a way, because
And
some years
Chad.
has passed.
Well, all of them. Because Chad and
Yeah, I would
Mindy are
say
still alive.
yeah, but I would say
Yeah.
more so Sydney and Gail only because it happened some years prior, and so she
Yeah,
kind of had to do
exactly.
that. And this is her second go around. All right, Brandon is entering the house. Sorry. All right.
Sorry.
But all right, everybody, we want to thank you all for tuning in to today's episode of Bloody Red Table Talk. I would like to thank our special guest, Tristan. Do you have anything you want to say, Tristan, before you get out?
No, I'm good. Follow me on Twitch, Tristan versus TV.
But all right, that's all for we have. That's all that we have for you today, Mystery Crew. I am your host Terrell, and
And I am your co-host Broadus, aka Undaunted_gaming on Twitch, aka Suki Latavius Dookie. That is me.
don't don't look that up.
Yes.
That's not
Hashtag Suki Dookie on
no
Twitter.
no.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitch. I stream
Get
every
that
day
trending.
But
at Tristan versus TV.
yeah, y'all. But that is the end of Bloody Red Table Talk. And until next time.